Hi, I'm David Porter with 32805 ORL News. So I cover the marginalized communities in west of downtown. All of you talked a lot about the importance of, I hope you can hear me, it's weird talking with this, about wearing masks. But we also heard from people in the black community who are nervous about wearing masks because they're really afraid of racial profiling. They're afraid that they will then lead to some kind of encounter with the police. And I got to tell you, last Tuesday, I got felony stopped at iDrive after taking pictures at the site where they were doing the testing, and it's very scary, and it's also very embarrassing because people going by. I mean, I got stopped by like 5 deputies and pulled out my car. It was very embarrassing. So I'm trying to find out what is the message, and especially to you, Mayor Demings, as you're in a unique position as you're a native of Orlando, you served as police chief, you served as sheriff, and I think the sheriff wanted to say something. What is your message, number one, to people about the importance of wearing masks? And number two, for both of you or either one of you, what is the message about racial profiling? Because even when I go into a store and I put this mask on, I feel very uncomfortable. You know, we've seen black people arrested for being black, driving while black, taking a nap while they're black, going to Starbucks while they're black. People are really, and this may sound funny to other people who are here, but if you lived in my skin, it would not seem funny at all. I wear a mask and we want more people to wear it. So what is your message to people about wearing the mask and not becoming a statistic?
Well, I'll take the first stab at this, and let me just say this. Racism existed prior to the pandemic, and it will exist after the pandemic. But generally speaking, the reason why we are suggesting that people wear a protective mask in this instance is because of the healthcare crisis. You don't want to die from the coronavirus, and you don't want to die from an inappropriate use of force either from a law enforcement officer. Having spent nearly 4 decades in law enforcement in this community, I can tell you that I've had the privilege of working with the sheriff and others in this community to make sure that we hire, train, promote law enforcement officers who are sensitive to the rights of all people in this community. And if you have the right people patrolling and supervising, and if you ever see a law enforcement officer that does something that they shouldn't do, you ought to bring that to the attention of that agency head so that they can deal with that individual. I know the sheriff is like me. We don't want bad cops in our law enforcement agencies who are heavy-handed in what they do. And it should be confident to this community to know that there was great deliberation about whether we would mandate the wearing of masks. And one of the reasons why that decision was made was that we really didn't want to arbitrarily create a system that would put law enforcement at odds with the citizens of this community. So the decision, we looked at the greater good in this case. Do we have compliance? Are people working with us? Are they helping to protect themselves? And we had to come to the conclusion, or we came to the conclusion, that the answer was yes. They are voluntarily compliant with this. So was it necessary? Did we have, again, the supplies, an adequate supply for people to be able to meet that need? And so sometimes, as an African American, that grew up in this community, I've been exposed to circumstances when I was treated unfairly, but I didn't let that paralyze me from still doing the right thing. So to every African American male who's out there or female who encounters law enforcement, I say that you should comply with the directions that you're being given at that time and complain later, okay? Complain later if you believe that you've been treated unfairly. There's a process that's set up in place for you to be able to air out your concerns, and I believe that these law enforcement executives who are here now will take that under advisement and do the right thing.
So, Mr. Porter, yeah, racial profiling is something that I take extremely seriously. There is a mechanism in place if someone thinks they were racially profiled. I'm not aware of any incidents that have happened, but again, I take it very seriously. I have terminated officers for treating people based on their race and will do so again. So if anyone from the community has any concerns about racial profiling, especially as it relates to wearing a mask in this community when 99% of the people in our community are already wearing masks, please bring that to our attention. And, I like what the mayor said, that, cooperate with law enforcement, and then complain, call a supervisor, call me, and I will find out exactly what happened. And like I said, that's something I take extremely seriously and won't tolerate.